Oh, Oscar, you there?
Yes, I'm here, Kevin. So right now it's streaming on YouTube Live, and all I have done so far is put up a shared screen that everyone should see. It's just a placeholder until the meeting starts, so that on the YouTube stream, there's something there that just says that the meeting's going to start at 7. So at this point, everyone is pretty much muted, and everyone, as far as I can see, has their video off. So those of you who've just joined, you will have to unmute yourself and also enable your video if you want a video feed to be available.
I'm dark.
You can tell some Rockingham County school board members have some experience with this type of board meeting. How are you, Charlotte?
Fine, Oscar. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Renee?
Well, hello there.
How are you, Killeen? Are you able to have a video stream, or are you just going to have audio on?
I am trying to find my video.
Hold on, I think I can basically ask you to start it, and then you'll get a little prompt that should.
Oh, there we go. There it is.
There you go.
Here we are. Oh, I need a better lighting. Oh, I'll be right back. Well, that's a little bit better. I'm not used to seeing you without your glasses, Oscar.
Yeah, that's because this is kind of that dangerous distance where if I have my glasses on, I can't read what's on the screen. And here, then I'm going to be like this. Have to move back a little bit. Now I can read it. See, I've got a couple more to admit.
How's everybody doing?
Fine, and you, Killeen?
I'm doing well. Doing well. Staying healthy.
Okay,
Good.
Who's boarding crazy down there at the bottom?
I don't really know. I don't want to enable someone's video. It's just, and then we have someone named iPad, so I'm not entirely sure.
iPad is me, Jill.
Oh, hey, Jill.
Hey,
How are you?
good, thank you.
My smartphone just told me that there's a meeting going on.
So at this point, a lot of you are still muted. And so just to let you know how that looks on the YouTube live stream that we're running at the same time. Right now, there's just a shared screen that says MTC Executive Board Meeting. I think you all see that as well. And then you can see whoever's talking, it will then usually jump to that person's video feed during the meeting. So, all right, Kevin, it's, hold on here. Jackie's joining. Jackie Lohr's tried a couple times now, and she's not successful connecting here. There she is. Okay. Dr. Richards. All right, Kevin.
All right, how's everybody doing?
Fine, thank you. And you?
Very good. This is definitely new to me. Like I said in my email, I want to thank Oscar for all of his help getting this set up and getting all the technology going. I do want to spend a little bit of time just to address with the executive board on the MTC response with the COVID-19, and then also talk a little bit about the budget and where we currently stand with that. Before we get started, though, I do need to make a motion. The motion I need to make is that this executive board meeting be held electronically due to safety concerns and in accordance with the March 25th, 2020 emergency ordinance enacted by the Board of Supervisors of Rockingham County, Virginia.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, so you probably need to let them know who you are so they can record that in the minutes, because it's impossible to see where that's coming from.
Gotcha. So Kayleen Siegel made the motion.
And Deb Fitzgerald did the second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I think how we're going to handle voting is Jill's going to call out your name. And then after she calls out your name, then you can say yay or nay. So Jill, do you want to get started?
A
Sure.
lot of you are still muted, so yes, please unmute yourself so that your vote can be recorded. I can unmute everyone at the same time if needed.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Yes, Jill.
Dr. Scheichel?
Oh, I don't get to vote, I
Yeah.
don't think.
Superintendent's on vote.
It says error saving, right?
Mr.
Sometimes
Richards is,
It'll still save. Sometimes it will not.
Hey, Chris, you need to turn off your mic.
Sorry, I did not know I was unmuted.
Dr. McQuilkin?
I'm here and I vote yes.
Deb Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Obie Hill? Dr. Andy Cohen?
Yes.
Kayleen Siegel?
Yes.
Dan Breeden? Lowell Falk? Jackie Lohr?
Yes.
Kristen Laughlin?
Yes.
Renee Reed?
Yes.
Nick Swain? That's all I have on my list.
Thank you, Jill. The next thing we need to do on the agenda is nominate a vice chair. Obi Hill is currently our chair. So usually the vice chair then will become, it flip-flops on chair. So the next one should be a Rockingham County School Board member. Some of y'all may feel that Obi kind of got a good deal. But I'm sure Obi will take care of us at the December meeting, so everything will be great. But we do need to nominate a vice chair. And like I said, with Obi being from Harrisonburg, it should probably be Rockingham County.
So Kevin, can you just explain when the vice chair then becomes the chair, how that works?
The vice chair will become the chair in March of 2021. So they'll be the chair for March of 2021 and December of 21. And then in our December meeting, unfortunately the chair wasn't able to make it. So Obi took care of it for us in December as the vice chair.
Okay.
I'll nominate Jackie Lohr.
I second that nomination.
All right, Jill, do you want to vote?
Yes. The motion was by Dr. Cohen. The second was by Dr. McQuilkin. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. McQuilkin,
Yes.
Deb Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Obi Hill's not here. Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Kayleen Siegel,
Yes.
Dan Breeden is not here. Lowell Folk is not here. Jackie Lohr,
No.
Jackie's muted.
okay.
I voted no. No, I'm kidding. I voted yes.
You'll be outvoted.
Kristen Laughlin,
Yes.
Renee Reed,
Yes.
and Nick Swain is not here. And that's it.
All right, the next thing on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from December. Those minutes were sent to you in the email about the meeting. Is there any adjustments or amendments that need to be made towards the minutes before we have a motion for approval?
I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Who was the second?
Dr. Cohen.
And Kristen Laughlin.
Co-seconded.
It's
Okay.
a team effort.
Dr. McQuilkin,
Yes.
Deb Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Obi Hill is not here. Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Kayleen Siegel,
Yes.
Dan Breeden is not here. Lowell Folk is not here. Jackie Lohr,
Yes.
Kristen Laughlin,
Yes.
Renee Reed,
Yes.
and Nick Swain is not here. That's it.
Oscar, Chris is saying he's having a problem with the YouTube link. Do you want to wait a little bit?
When you say he's having a problem with the YouTube link, what are we talking about?
I think he's saying our website won't save right now, or it is saving, but then when he goes to our website, he says he clicks on the link and it's not working.
Yeah, Dr. Sarker, we're having some technical difficulties and have for the past week or so with the website, and I haven't had a chance to contact the website managers for the company. Anyway, it let me update a post or a notice for the meeting for tonight, and I had the link, and when I was sent the link a little bit ago and tried to update the website, it was unable to. I can see the link and click the link in my editing software. However, it will not publish, if you will, to the main site. I've tried 4 or 5 times here in the last 20 minutes, and it's just, it's not updating. I'll continue to try, but I'm not hopeful. So
That might be a little bit easier if you just post on the website that the link is visible on the, I don't know, maybe on the MTC Twitter feed and post it there. Because the link,
I will
I have an
certainly-
iPad running here with it, and it's the stream is working based on
right,
the
and,
link.
and
that
I was able
sent
to
you.
get the stream, yes, sir.
Mhm.
However, it's for whatever reason the website host or whatever Squarespace is not playing friendly tonight, and hasn't been for a little while. So we're just having a little difficulty. I will put it on our social media feed and try to update a notice on the website real quick. I'm just not having any success updating the website at all.
Okay. Yeah, and that stream gets recorded, so it's always available later as well.
Perfect. I'll be able to upload that then later.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Jill, you okay?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay. So the first thing I want to talk to you all about is just our COVID-19 response. I've said a bunch of times on some meetings that this is obviously very disheartening for MTC, just as well as disheartening for both the city and the county. As you all know, April, May, and June, just like for a lot of schools, is where we really get to showcase, all of our hard work by our teachers and our students. Our students really get to highlight for the community and our competitions, everything that they've done throughout the year and everything that they've done to really, represent MTC great as they always do. So just very disheartening that opportunity doesn't happen. They very early on in March, they canceled our Virginia Skills USA competition that was supposed to be held last weekend. So therefore, because Virginia canceled the Skills USA, that also eliminates our students from being able to go to nationals at the end of June. So we had, if I'm correct, we had about 66, 67 students win at the district level, which then qualified them for the state competition. So with teachers and staff, we were going to take around 85 to 90 individuals to the state conference. So unfortunately, that's 66, 67 students that did not get the opportunity to win at the state level. As you all know, we usually do very well at the state. Usually have a lot of kids that get to go to the nationals, and unfortunately, that leadership opportunity was taken away. The first thing we did through the guidance of Dr. Scheichel and Rockingham County is try to figure out the best way for MTC to do distance learning. And the best way for us to provide instruction for our students. So we realized that by the time MTC hits March, we have definitely covered 70% of our competencies, which was the requirement, and probably have covered a lot more because by that time of the year, we are almost 100% project-based. Our second year students are finishing up, their major project throughout the year. And our first year students are really getting into being a lot of hands-on instruction. So we weren't really concerned about the competency level. So we knew that we needed to give the students the time and the energy to work on their core subjects and to work on, the modulars and everything that they need to work on through their home schools. So what we did is we had all of our teachers figure out what their grade was as of March 13th. We then had each instructor contact our students individually. So we sent out an email to parents, kind of letting them know what we were doing. And then from there, then we kind of had our instructors contact each student, document if they were having problems contacting, and letting them know when all of the makeup work needed to be completed for the third 9 weeks. For a lot of our teachers, they picked the Monday, April 13th after spring break. Once that information was in and we could grade their third 9 weeks, We were then able to communicate with them again on what their final grade or their F1 grade would be as of March 13th. The students were then given the opportunity to be satisfied with that grade, and that would be their grade for the year. Or if they wanted to improve their grade, we're giving them the option now by providing some additional instruction and some additional work for them to complete, to return to our instructors and to improve their final grade. As you all know, our school has a little foyer, and the front doors are not locked, and then you have a little foyer, and then you have the main front doors that are locked. So we put tables out in that little foyer area. That's where the teachers are dropping off any work for students, and that's also where students are turning in any work. So there is no contact between the work. All that can be done, and we don't have to worry about individuals in the building at certain times because the students can come and pick up and return work at any time. The coverage of the building, we have an administrator, we have an administrative assistant, and a custodian that's currently on a rotation that works from 8 to 4. So the building is open for phone calls and for vendors and packages and all those sorts of things. So that's our biggest thing. We just wanted to give them the opportunity to improve their grade and give them an opportunity to catch up. You know, what's great about MTC is for our second year students, you know, they were done and working on their major projects. So curriculum wise and instruction, you know, is more about just enhancing what they learned. But for our first year students, you know, our advantage is that when they come back for second year, they have the same instructor. So if they're a diesel technology student, 1, they come back for diesel technology student 2, it's still going to be Lee Smith. So Lee knows exactly what part of the curriculum he may not have been able to cover because of the school closure. And he can then incorporate that into his second year class and as the school year starts. So that connection and that able to have consistency in our programs definitely gives us an advantage for us to kind of pick up and beef up our second year programs more than what they would have done, you know, with curriculum and those sorts of things. So are there any questions about our instructional approach with COVID-19?
So are we okay from a certification standpoint?
Right.
As
So right.
our-
Yeah. So certification was my next thing. So our big thing is we have a lot of students that still want to take their credential because a lot of our credentials means more money in employment, especially, you know, AWS with welding, ASC with all of our automotive collision and diesel, our EPA with HVAC, and then obviously our state board testing with cosmetology. So we have a lot of students out there that are very interested and still want to take their credential. So our hopes are right now, and I sent an email out to students and parents last week, is we're hoping that the governor lifts the ban on June the 10th. I'm sure you all listened to him today. You know, he's looking at a phase 1 starting process next Friday, which is good news, hopefully. But if we can get to the point, hopefully I'm hoping by the 3rd week, end of June, we are hopefully going to have, if we're allowed, a couple day of a boot camp. So what would happen is the kids, if they're still interested in taking their credential, they will sign up. We'll have a registration process. They'll come in a couple of days for a kind of a boot camp where we will kind of instruct them on some things that we need to make sure they know for the test. And then Julie Maxwell has been working really hard with all of our different testing companies and making sure that they are ready and will take the test. So hopefully end of June, first part of July, we'll be able to have our kids take credentials. If we get to the beginning of June and things don't look like that's going to be allowed, then obviously we'll go back to the drawing board and try to come up with some solutions. Hours wise, that's a great question, Jackie. We have not heard from the CTE department. We are assuming though, with all of the other requirements that have been kind of waxed, you know, with credentials and and SOLs and testing and all those sorts of things. We're assuming they're probably the same thing for us too. I think they're more concerned about making sure we got 70% of the competencies, which we did. And I think because of that, they're going to have no problem in giving our kids credit. Great question.
That's
Any other
great news.
questions?
Thank you. As far as Skills USA goes, the USA one is off then as well?
Yeah,
or
because
we
our
just have-
kids, yeah, because our kids didn't get to compete at nationals or at state level. You know, that was a Virginia decision, not a
So
national.
there still will be a national
There will
contest.
still
We
be
just
a
won't be
national,
invited to
but
it.
we will
Oh,
not.
that's
The
a
state of
shame.
Virginia will not be invited. Correct. The other thing with Skills USA, and I don't have this one here, but I'll give you all a really quick rundown. Through a federal, as you all know, all of our programs right now are with Skills USA. We worked really hard over the last 3 or 4 years creating that culture. Obviously, we've had a lot of success. Unfortunately, the state of Virginia has decided to split our programs into different curricular activities. So what I mean by that is a program could have multiple co-curricular activities to pick from. Like for instance, culinary arts could either do FCCLA or they could do Skills USA. Vet science could do HOSA or FFA, or they could do Skills USA. You know, dental could do HOSA or Skills USA. So all of our programs fit under the Skills USA blanket. So that's why we wanted to create one big culture. So that's why we had everybody except for agriculture production participate in Skills USA. The state has come through and has decided, due to lack of enrollment in some of the other organizations, that they are going to mandate certain programs to join certain co-curricular activities. And by doing that, that's going to split us into 4 different co-curricular groups. So we will not be able to take all these kids to Skills USA anymore. It's going to be pretty hard financially, because now you're looking at 4 state conferences, possibility of 4 national conferences, if our students continue to be very successful. So I will update you all more on that probably when we meet again, because the state has not issued the documentation and the memo they said they were. So maybe that means because of all this, they're going to hold off on that. But as soon as we get that, I'll share that with you all, because that's going to be a big culture change for us. And that's going to be hard for us, to be honest with you, because our kids love Skills USA. They love what it provides for them. And it's going to be a great task from the administrative team to get teachers motivated and get them on to a new curricular when we had such great confidence and loved our Skills USA. But that's definitely a challenge for us next year, but we'll take care of it. Our PPE donations, obviously with our programs, we had a lot of PPE around with our dental program, our health careers, and our nursing. We obviously wanted to be a part of the community and not just have all that, you know, sitting in our surplus and when it was such a dire need. So we did make a significant contribution to the hospital and rounded up a lot of our materials and had them donated to the hospital, which they were very happy with. So it looks like from what Governor Northern said today that PP is not as a necessity as it was. So hopefully that our small contribution kind of helped them get over the hump, but definitely wanted to be a part of the community. The other thing we did is JMU is currently borrowing one of our 3D printers. I don't know if you all saw the articles in the paper. I think WHSV did a story too about JMU making face masks with 3D printers. One of the 3D printers they were using was ours, and we donated it. So after this is over, we'll definitely get that back from JMU and put it back into our programs. We also donated a lot of filament to the calls too. The filament is the actual kind of product that the printer uses to make the product. We were able to have some of that on staff also. So yeah, that was another way we try to contribute to the community with the COVID-19. Obviously, like I talked about before, our disheartening had a lot to do with having to reschedule a lot of our celebration events. Our community day with our big event on May the 30th with all of our open house and kids zone and food trucks and fire and safety public demonstrations and everything. Then all of our auctions with our surplus auction in our house, and then obviously ending the night with Craig Morgan and County Line. Obviously has been postponed. We have already rescheduled for next year, which is June the 5th, 2021. I'm hearing a lot through kind of my following of social media that a lot of people are going to be very hesitant whether there's even going to be concerts even in the fall. So we, instead of trying to move it to the fall and then having to reschedule it again, we just decided to move the whole thing to next year just to give plenty of time for medicine to take over, for people to feel comfortable with such large gatherings. Nashville was very easy to work with. Craig was extremely easy. He understood, and we had a new contract within 48 hours from them, moving him and moving everything else. What we did with our sponsors is we sent out a letter to our sponsors, pretty much extending their sponsorship to 2021. So we said that we'll go ahead and keep the sponsorship money, we will continue to advertise for you now for 14 months, and then all of the benefits from the sponsorship will continue for the concert in June next year. We also gave them the opportunity to ask for a refund. And out of the 38 sponsors that we had, we only had one company ask for a refund. And the only reason they asked for a refund is they said their bookkeeper likes for their sponsorship money and the event to be on the same year. And they said in spring, we'll give you the money back. So we're looking at definitely getting that money back. Our sponsorship was up $10,000 this year. Last year, we had about $20,000 sponsored. And this year we were over $30,000 in sponsorships. And what's, I guess, a glass half full that there could be is obviously we'll send out sponsorship letters again in January to see if there needs to be any new sponsors. And I'm sure we'll get some takers. So our $30,000 amount that we were able to raise, we'll probably hopefully be able to raise $10,000, $15,000 more come next spring, and which will be great for the event and really put a lot of money back to the school for our activities and giving the money back to our labs. The MTC Academy, unfortunately, we've postponed that. We just felt like the June 10th stay at order was too close to the start of the Academy date. We'd be in the process right now of all the registration. As Chris has told you before, he's done a great job with getting our enrollment up on that. So, we probably have 165, 170 kids. And then if Governor Northern would have extended it, you're looking at 165, 170 refund checks. And we just felt it was too close to call. We also didn't know how comfortable parents would be at that time, sending kids to an academy. So we just played it safe. And so we will postpone that and move that on to summer of 21. The Community Leaders Breakfast, unfortunately, that's supposed to be here in a couple weeks. And with the mandates and not able to have more than 10 people together, that's obviously not possible. We are still going to give out the scholarships. So our 6 students that earn the $750 foundation scholarship, we have selected those students, and we will work on through our social media means and our website once we get it working again to congratulate and honor those students with their $750. And we wanted to do that because a lot of those students are seniors headed on to their next chapter, and $750 will help in some textbooks at least, or get some tools. And we wanted to still give them that opportunity. So we're still going to issue the scholarships, even though we will not be doing the big recognizing. That's a big event for us. I kind of feel like that's my State of the Union address because it just really allows us to get up in front of you all and the Board of Supervisors and some who's who of Rockingham County and Harrisonburg City, and really give them the direction of MTC. We may try to do something in the fall to still have that kind of kickoff, maybe make it a beginning of the year kickoff instead of the end of the year, because obviously we've done a lot of great things this year, and we want people to know what we're doing and what we've done. So we'll see how things pan out, see where restrictions are, maybe possibly try to do something in September or October. Graduation. If anybody of y'all have a crystal ball, can you speak up now? That, that's probably the one that hurts the most, and that hurts the most because that's so centered around the students, obviously. And for the students not to have 1,500 people at the Convocation Center cheering for them and recognizing them, that definitely hurts. So we're working with Rockingham County, and I know that Oscar's doing a great job trying to figure out how to get that to work, and whatever is finally decided on, we'll follow suit and try to do something too that recognizes our students for graduation. Any questions on the rescheduling of events? All right, very good. The other thing I want to talk about until we talk about the budget is our enrollment for next year. I'm very excited to announce that our enrollment is very strong. We've been working really hard on finalizing our numbers. Julie Riley has been in a lot of conversations with school counselors and with teachers and administration. And right now we're looking at 1,079 with our enrollment between the 5 schools. I'm also very happy to announce that the Harrisonburg High School enrollment is right now up to 170, which is about 30 more students than we were at this time last year. So very excited to announce that their enrollment continues to increase. So usually we're about 990, 995 at this time. And then again, we lose about 50 to 60 kids at the beginning of the year just due to schedule changes, or they don't like the idea of riding the bus every day, or the boyfriend, girlfriend tells them not to come because they don't want to miss them while they're at homeschool. All those great reasons we have to fight. But being at 1,079 right now is really strong and impressive. And we're just really excited that, to continue to make a contribution. The one thing I want to let you all know, though, that there is a negative effect or a negative side effect when your numbers get this high. And what that is created by is, as you all know, 18 of our 21 programs are hazardous. And when you have a hazardous program, you can't have more than 20 kids in a class at a time. Because of that restriction, out of the 1,079, we are talking to 65 students that are not going to be able to attend MTC right now in the program that they have asked for. Now, these 65 students can either wait a year, and that's what we will ask some of them to do, or they can pick another program, and a lot of times, a lot of them will pick another program. But that is a negative effect when your numbers do get this high, is that you do have a large portion, or not a large portion, but a amount of students. In this case, this year, it's about 65 that we have to work around to make sure they still get the MTC opportunity. It just may not happen this year. So a lot of where we start, obviously, is the sophomore level. If they're a sophomore and their program is already full, then that's where we start and trying to talk to them about, can you wait till your junior year? And then we give those kids first dibs when they're a junior, because we track the kids that we ask to wait. But, not what we want to do. I would love for every kid that can come to MTC, but the state with their hazardous program requirement definitely makes some of those kids in a tough situation. For second year, out of that, we had 20 kids in second year that we're not able to provide. So the second year, again, it's kind of the same thing. If they started as a sophomore and now they're going into second year as a junior, we will talk to them about, can you wait to your senior year to go into second year? And usually through that process, we're usually able to get the numbers down to where we need them. I know that is not what you all want to hear. I know we don't ever want to deny a kid an opportunity, but we're definitely in a situation where, you know, we have to work with what's given to us and the best thing that's most supportive. So we do have 85 students right now that we're working with to try to figure out how to fit MTC in their schedule either this year or in future years. A lot of our programs are full. In our auto tech, for instance, as you all know, I moved Jason Miller to that program last year. Jason continues to do his magic. Out of the 40 slots that he is allowed, he had 50, out of the 40 slots he's allowed for first year, we had 54 kids enroll. So there's 14 of the 65 kids that we have to figure out where we're going to put them. So definitely know that asking for additional staff right now is not going to happen, but it's definitely some programs that we'll be looking at, hopefully when things improve in the next couple of years, that we may be asking for some new positions, because obviously if you had 2 auto tech instructors, you would have 80 slots instead of 40 slots, and then you wouldn't have to turn 14 kids away. So that's just kind of the process that we're working through. Are there any questions on our enrollment?
Are all of our programs solid with enrollment?
There are a couple that I'd like to see better. Definitely like to see masonry better. Masonry has been low for a couple years. And you know, we work hard on that. Masonry is a tough field because it is a very seniority based field trade. It doesn't matter how great you are when you leave MTC, you're going to be mixing mortar and carrying brick, whatever job that you get, because in that field, the people that have been in the longest are the ones that are laying the most brick. So it's just hard. Kids kind of realize that it's not as glamorous. And so, you know, sometimes those kind of factors will stop kids from going into a profession like that. Ag production is increasing, not still where we want it to be, but the numbers are higher this year than they were last year. Everything else is pretty solid, very solid.
Cybersecurity is.
Yep, cybersecurity has out of the 40 slots, I've got it right here. They filled 39 of the 40 slots for first year, and we had over 20 kids come back for second year. So he's got a full second year also.
That's wonderful.
No surprise there.
No, that's the glitz and glamour room. We can win a lot of people over by walking them into that room.
Right.
The problem is I was supposed to make a lot of money by selling tickets for March Madness because people could go in there and make it into 8 different screens. I mean, I could have made a fortune, but didn't get that opportunity. Any other questions on enrollment? Eric Fitzgerald just yelled at me because I'm not wearing a suit in my house right now. So I apologize to you all that I'm not in a suit right now. But next time I'll wear a suit. Sorry about that, Eric. All right. The other motion that we need to make is I talked because of where we are with the economy and our questions on revenue. You know, we don't feel it's appropriate right now to do a vote on a budget. So I do need a motion to move the proposed budget to information only and to take it out of an action. Would anybody like to make that motion?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Jill, do you want to do a vote?
Oh, sorry, Jill. That was Kayleen Siegel doing the second.
Jill, you there?
I'm sorry, I was muted.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah. The reason my video isn't showing is because I'm typing frantically minutes as you all talk.
It's fine.
Dr. McQuilkin,
Yes, I agree that we move the proposed budget from action item to information item.
Deb Fitzgerald,
I also agree. Yes.
Obie Hill is not here. Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Kayleen Siegel,
I agree.
Mr. Breeden and Mr. Falk are not here. Jackie Lohr,
Yes.
Kristen Laughlin,
Yes.
Renee Reed,
Yes.
and Mr. Swain is not here.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
So the second email that I shared last week after we got the VRS updates is the papers or the current budget where MTC stands right now. Cheryl Mass informed me last week or 2 weeks ago that due to the loss of revenue, especially from the sales tax, that Rockingham County was not in a position to give any more money than they did the previous year, which is totally understandable. Trust me, totally understandable. So after we were given that directive, as you all know, in December, I asked for 2 new positions. So those positions got removed. Also, the budget in December included a 3% raise. So obviously that raise got removed also. We were able to, with this year's money, the adult education building needed a new roof, which just got finished last week. So that has been taken care of with this year's money. So there was no capital improvement project included in the budget because the only capital improvement project we had was already completed. And that Shincorp actually finished it up last week, which was great. So what you see here in front of you, if you look at the revenue page, which it says 2020, 2021 revenue up at the top, 0% salary increase. That is the modifications where we are not asking for any additional money to make sure that the local expenditure for Rockingham County is a 0. Now, the reason why it's a negative is if you all remember, Harrisonburg Economic Development and Rockingham Economic Development last year gave us $30,000 for our cybersecurity renovation. So that $30,000 has been removed, which therefore makes it a negative $29,745 once you do some other manipulation. So that's why it looks like, excuse me, that the budget actually decreased when it actually didn't decrease. It's just we took that $30,000 out, which we're not getting next year. So that's why it's a negative 29,745 when you look at the difference. But the actual money that the local is contributing is the same as it was last year. So if you go to local expenditures, 2020-21 local expenditures, you will see that the difference from Rockingham County is at 0, and the Harrisonburg share to make Rockingham 0, Harrisonburg share went down also. So right now it's a negative 1,278. So for the difference is 1,278. What I want you all to understand, and it's the same thing we're all going to go through, with this budget, there's already been about $90,000 worth of cuts. And the reason there's been about $90,000 worth of cuts is we are projecting a 5% increase in health insurance next year. And a 5% increase in health insurance for me is about $50,000, $55,000. They were also projecting a percentage increase in our VRS contribution. And for us, that's about 40 to 45,000. So those 2 increases, then in order for us not to ask for the additional money from the local divisions, we then have to absorb those increases. So even though it looks like we're not absorbing any money, we've actually made about a $90,000 cut to the budget. That is coming a lot from some vehicle improvements. The vehicles that we have around our facility, there's some money in there to maybe purchase a new one or keep those up and running. We cut some from that fund. We cut some from our facility improvements, what we could classify as site improvement. Some educational supplies have been cut. And then we were also a little bit fortunate because Bill May, who is currently a part-time collision repair instructor for us, who was only brought in this year to fulfill our second year kids. We will not need him next year. So we just got lucky on numbers in collision repair, and therefore we will not renew Bill's contract, which he was on a 1-year term anyway, so he was not expecting to come back. So that's not going to be a surprise to him. So that part-time salary obviously isn't anywhere close to 90, but it did help us make a good chunk of it, or a decent chunk out of it, in order to take some funding some other places. I talked to Oscar today. There is a sense that there may be some additional cuts based off of what revenues look like and what we can figure out both at the city and at the county level. And again, that's why we all agree it's best not to vote on a budget right now, just because we do feel like, unfortunately, that MTC may have to make some additional cuts. And if we do, we will figure out the best place to do it and what's beneficial for everyone, and what is, to the point where we feel like it won't impact us in, places like equipment and materials for our labs. We'll try to save that as much as we can, because we want to make sure we put stuff back into students' hands. Excuse me. The problem we're going to have next year, though, as you all know, this is a $6.1 million budget, and a little bit over $1 million of that comes from the adult education side. Sandy and I had a great conversation today. Just like everybody else, what does that look like? Is our adult education, are our numbers going to be drastically down next year because people don't have the money, the disposable income to take a class? Is it going to be down next year because of the still restrictions? And what does that look like for our adult education classes? Or is the glass half full? Our adult education is going to be a lot big in enrollment because a lot of people may be looking for another job, or maybe looking for something else to go into after they've been laid off from their previous job. So how does that look? But we rely a lot on that revenue. And so we will strongly be monitoring that revenue, for the fall enrollment for adult education, for the winter enrollment for adult education. And based on how that goes, will continue to be how tight we're going to have to be next year. Because if adult education is not making the money it typically makes, then in order to have a balanced budget, you can't obviously still spend all of your expense side if you don't have the revenue that's going to, work its way through by the end of the year. So it's going to be a tricky process for us next year for sure. Be very ongoing as the year goes on. And so we're probably going to be very tight with our money next year. Probably tell our teachers, we're definitely going to have to see how things play out. And MTC may be a little bit of a status quo next year when it comes to doing anything, that's going to be a very expensive adventure for us, just because, and just, I'm glad I'm not in your shoes. I'll say that too, because I cannot imagine what you all are about to go through too. And you are dealing with a lot more bigger figures than I am. So definitely give you all the luck and support that I can there. But, for us, it's also going to be, what does that look for us next year as the year goes on, and us monitoring money. With this year, at the end of this year, obviously there were a lot of things we didn't purchase. So there's probably a decent surplus of money left for this year. But my concern there is, and we've talked about this before, there are two major revenue factors that I get at the last week of June that both come from the state, the occupational prep and the adult education. That's usually about $400,000. well, what happens if those checks don't come in June? Or what happens if they are extremely lower than what we projected it to be? So I'm not going to do anything for the rest of the year. I talked to Cheryl Mass today, other than it being a grant expense, because with a lot of Sandy's grants, you have to spend it first to get the money back. So we definitely want to continue to purchase things with our grant money so we get all the grant money back. Because like any other grant, if we don't, and then they see we don't need all the money, then they'll give us less money. So we definitely want to continue to purchase ESL, ELL, GED, things for our help out in the correctional facility, all those things that work through the grants. Obviously, if the building has a repair issue, we'll file and try to get that fixed. And then obviously, if we have any kind of computer software that needs to be renewed or any type of yearly renewal, we'll go ahead and have that purchased also. But we're really going to hold on to the money because, again, we've got some revenue sources that we're still waiting on, and a big chunk of that's coming from the state. And I definitely don't want to risk anything that would put us in the red at the end of the year. Any questions on the budget? The two things that I did not address, I still want to address before the meeting is over. One is our adult education program. We had about 4 or 5 classes left for the end of the winter spring session. Talking to Sandy, a lot of our teachers were almost done. We have a few that would like a few more classes in order to wrap things up. Again, just like the boot camp and the credential testing, the end of June and July, we're definitely hoping to bring those adult students back into the building. Middle of June, end of June, do about 3 or 4 weeks in the summer at the nighttime in order to finish up their programs. Again, that's all going to be restrictions and what we're going to be allowed to do, but that is our hope and intentions right now, to try to finish up those adult students as they're working towards their credential and they're working towards their journeyman's license. The other last thing is the house. The house is not anywhere done where it should be. It has been framed. The electrical and the plumbing is almost done, but it did not get drywalled. We always do our drywalling over spring break because that's subcontracted. Because if any of y'all have ever tried drywall, it's not a very easy task. It's definitely not something you with your kids the first time to be drywalling that house. So we do subcontract the drywalling. That didn't happen. So the house is just pretty much rough framed. But we don't want to sit on the house because then our second year carpentry kids next year won't get the practice of framing a home. So we're hoping to do an auction at the very end of June, 1st of July, just on the house, and pretty much just sell it at cost. Right now we have $29,000 into the home. We'll start that at a minimum of 29. Hopefully somebody will buy it for the 29. We'll get it off the property, and then next year we'll be able to start from scratch. It will be, again, another revenue loss from us. We usually make about 20-25 from the house. That obviously that money won't be coming in this year. But we do have intentions of still selling the home just because we do want our second year students to get that practice of framing. Any other questions? Oscar, do you want to add anything on the budget, or Dr. Richards, do you want to add anything on the budget?
No, I think those are ongoing conversations with our board as well. In terms of state forecasts, doesn't really a good understanding at this point how the pandemic is going to impact sales tax revenue, for example. So there's not really a lot of detail to give at this point.
And I just want to thank you, Kevin, for your patience. Oscar and I talk regularly, including today, and we talked a little bit about the budget, and we're both at a point where we don't really know at this point. And so we appreciate your patience in waiting for us. Tomorrow night, the city council meets, they do a work session, We're meeting at the same time that they are, so we won't get to see their work session, but the outcome of that should be clarifying for us.
All right, thank you. That's pretty much all I have for tonight. Obviously the agenda massively changed from what we were going to share in March, but I just kind of feel like that isn't the most important thing to talk about right now. And obviously we're all very busy, and those kinds of things can wait until December. But do you all have any questions for me? My administrative team is also on this meeting. If you've got any questions for them, or any, I guess we could probably do board comments right now too, and with questions if you want to.
Kevin, are there any provisions for a special meeting between the March and December, like the May and December meetings, in the event that things get clarified and that you can present a budget with more confidence? Can this body be convened for a special meeting?
Yes, and we will.
Okay.
We definitely have to have quorum, which is 2 members from each board.
Okay.
For the budget. So yes, as soon as we figure out what our budget's going to look like and we make our final cuts, we'll definitely do this exact same thing again and talk about that final budget. So yes, sir.
That makes sense to me. I just didn't know what constitutionally we were capable of doing. And if we can do it, that's great.
Yep, we can definitely call a special meeting.
Okay.
Mhm. I would actually suggest, Kevin, that you do kind of frame that out with Dr. Richards and Dr. Scheichel about a meeting either in the latter part of the summer or in August, which we don't typically do, so that you can update us on a lot of the things that you've given us information on tonight.
Okay.
And do it in the time frame of when we have to approve a budget for you.
Yeah, we'll have to approve the budget before July 1st.
Yeah.
So if there are things before July 1st that I can update you on, we could definitely do something again. And like you said, September or late August.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, otherwise it'd be a very long time, even if we convene a special meeting to just
Sure.
do the budget before we have another meeting.
Sure.
And I don't recollect anything in the bylaws associated with this board that prohibits us or anything in doing that.
No, we can meet as much time. There's a minimum, but there's definitely not a maximum. We can meet as many times as we need to.
Well, and presumably we also have the authority to amend that budget that we approve in,
Correct.
In response to external circumstances over which we have no control.
Correct.
It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments or questions?
Is this time now that you would like to hear comments from the board, Kevin?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. I would like to say thank you to you and your staff for the work, the effort, and the thought in under the circumstances. We truly appreciate your efforts because we're all in this together. And the second thing, this is Teacher Appreciation Week. So I hope that you will extend our appreciation and your appreciation to the teachers during this time.
I definitely will. Definitely will.
I think you've done a very fine job juggling all the balls that you have to juggle. And I didn't see any that got dropped. So I give you 2 thumbs up.
All right, thank you. Jill, do you just want to call everybody's name like we typically do, and then they can pass or say something?
For what are, do we have a motion or for comment?
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. McQuilkin, we have your comment on record. Do you have anything additional?
No, but thank you for asking.
Okay. Deb Fitzgerald,
No comment, I pass.
Dr. Cohen, I have your comments on record. Anything additional?
Enough said. Thank you.
Okay. Kayleen Siegel,
try to unmute myself. No, I just second everything that was said, and yeah, that we're all in this together, and we're just taking this one step at a time. You're doing a great job.
Jackie Lohr.
I'd just like to thank everyone for all of their hard work. These are definitely trying times, and I want to thank the board for electing me vice chair. I'm excited for that position, and hopefully in the future we can have face-to-face meetings.
Right.
Thank you all for all your hard work. That's all.
Kristen Laughlin.
I don't have anything more specific to add, but I, like Keeleen, second everything that Charlotte and Andy had said earlier. You guys have done a really great job. Thank you very much for persistence in a really challenging time.
Renee Reed.
Thank you. Kevin, thank you to you and your staff for putting all this information together and reworking the budget. I know that particularly for our career in tech ed, this has been a really challenging time because a lot of it is hands-on. It's great to know, though, that the curriculum has been so that they had a large bulk of the work done
Right.
in advance of when we had to end school. You know, I was thinking about how much I was going to miss, as you said, your State of the Union type of address and breakfast and all that kind of stuff. It's always a highlight. I usually never want to go back to my desk at JMU after we have that breakfast either. But you may want to think about, I know at the last meeting we talked a little bit about a summary and what things looked like for our students and their success. You may want to think about, if you have time this summer, you or your staff, putting together some kind of report or executive summary for MTC.
Okay.
You can share with your foundation, you can share with all of us, that we can share with other people, because I think it's important for you to share an overall yearly summary and to also start thinking about what that may look like. That may be another step for you
Right.
as you guys continue to mold and think about the path for MTC.
Right. Sure.
For all of you.
And-
So,
And in the December meeting, you asked for a graduate survey, which has been done and has been completed.
good.
I decided to hold off on that, but we do have that. I did not want you to think we did not follow through on that request. We emailed all of them, Facebooked a bunch of them. I think we ended up getting about 80, 85 responses, and then we tabulated that information. So the next time we do meet, we will definitely share that information. So I wanted to let you know we did follow through.
Great, thank you. Thanks for the follow-up. The other thing I know that it's always great when we recognize our scholarship winners. And so whatever you can do to get the media engaged, I know that Chris is usually really good about that, to get the media engaged. And I'm sure Dr. Birchfield would be willing to help you to kind of maybe showcase those people. I think
Okay.
we usually have that in the at the breakfast also.
Right.
And there may be an opportunity there to recognize those students.
Okay.
Okay. So thanks for your hard work.
Well, thank you all. And I will end up saying, you know, I definitely appreciate all of the kind comments. You know, we have been working very hard, but I'm not going to lie to you. My team is what makes me look good. I've got a unbelievable administrative staff and an unbelievable staff with instructors and teachers, and they put in a lot of work and a lot of time that I then get to present to you. So please don't think that a lot of the stuff I presented today, you know, I was the one doing it. It's definitely not the way it works. They just make me look really, really good, and I really appreciate them for that. So Chris, Julie, and Sandy, they're just tirelessly working, and we come up with some crazy ideas, and a lot of times they have to tell me how crazy it is, and they're kind of my bounce off a lot of things. But when we run with it, boy, they run at it 100%, and especially with this time and everything we've gone through, they've risen to the top as always. And I've been very happy with my staff. We've thrown a lot of things at them, and I just keep getting emails back of what else do you need, or what else can we do, or how can we help with this. And we've had to really kind of get them to kind of be at bay, because they want to come back to the building, and they want to do a bunch of stuff, and have to settle them down because they're go-getters too. So definitely appreciate all the comments, but it's definitely a family team affair at MTC, and it's just everything's rolling because of everything we do together. So and thank you all for all your help. I know this is not the meeting we wanted to have. In December, when we were talking about what next year looks like, well, we had some great plans, and we were all ready to go, and the money was coming in, and the economy was flourishing, and we were finally going to get back to where we wanted to get. And then, boy, the train just derailed in the middle of March, and now we are where we are today. But through your all's comments and just joining the meeting today, it's definitely, we're going to get through this, and we'll be fine, and we'll all have to make sacrifices, but we'll make sacrifices together. And in a couple years from now, we'll get everything back where we need it to be. So thank you all very much for what you all do. All right, that the adjournment for me. I don't have the paddle with me, but I'll pretend like I hit the paddle, and thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Buddy, good night.
Good night, everybody.
Not everyone.
Good night, everyone. Stay safe.
You too. You, Chris.
Take care.
Good night.